Hello everybody and welcome to a new video for the channel. This is another reboot. To be more specific, What If Spider-Man Was in My Hero Academia is being rebooted. This time I'm changing a couple things throughout the story. I just want to make the quality overall better and change a couple things around. I do hope you all enjoy. This is one of my favorite series overall. I love Spider-Man, I love My Hero Academia, so the combination, of course, one of my favorites. That said, please like, subscribe, all that jazz, and enjoy the video. Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man, the most popular Marvel character. On Earth 2305, the Marvel multiverse intersects with the My Hero Academia universe. In New York, on April 17th, about 10 months before the UA entrance exam, two policemen stand outside an interrogation room talking. "So, who do you have for us today?" asked Detective Jean DeWolf while looking inside the room through the one-way glass. "A kid, 14, answers the officer while the detective takes a sip of her coffee. "What's he in for?" asks the detective. Officer Davis looks at his report and answers, "For vigilantism, ma'am. He was arrested along with a known felon, small-time crook called Dennis Cardine." The detective gestures to see the report, so Officer Davis hands it over. The detective then starts looking through it, sipping her coffee as she does. "Did you contact the parent?" she asks while checking the report. The parents are dead, ma'am, but we did contact the legal guardian to come pick him up," the officer answers. Now having finished the coffee, the detective sets the mug down and walks into the interrogation room. "Finally someone comes in! I've been bored out of my mind!" says the boy who's been sitting there for a while. The detective gives him a quick glance and says, "Nice onesie." "Thanks, made it myself. Glad you like it. Now you're going to let me go? I'm underage, so I'm pretty sure you can't arrest me," the kid comments. "Please state your name and personal information for the record," the detective says. The boy then says, "I'm Peter Parker, I'm 14 years old. What else would you like to know?" "How about telling me what a 14-year-old was doing in an abandoned warehouse in the middle of a hostage situation, wearing a onesie?" responds the detective. "You never heard of vigilantes before? They're quite common, considering the state only grants so many hero licenses," jabs Peter. "Smartass," comments the detective. "I know what a vigilante is. Worked with many before. What I want to know is why someone so young would throw themselves into danger in such a way." A couple of scenes come to Peter's mind. He starts remembering. He remembers letting a crook go by after robbing a convenience store. He remembers seeing Uncle Ben's dead body right in front of him when coming to pick him up at the library. And he remembers seeing the police report of the crook that killed his uncle. "It's very simple, actually. Let's say I owed him," Peter answers the detective. "For killing your uncle, right?" DeWolf asks. "If that's the case, why not just kill him? Eye for an eye kind of situation." "A sense of responsibility and, well, justice," Peter answers. "He'll get his. You have enough of a case against him. Having him in custody will surely result in some type of sentence after what he's done." The detective writes something down and says, "Eyewitness accounts say you were leaping around the room like a spider. But my reports indicate that you're a quirkless. What is it, Spider-Boy? Does it have something to do with the tech you had on you? Or are you using any quirk-enhancing drugs?" "Nothing of the sort. I'm just a late bloomer," Peter answers. DeWolf looks at him with a "I'm not buying it" look, so Peter explains. "Up until recently I was considered quirkless, until a science experiment at ESU where a spider bit me, awakening my latent quirk. You can ask a doctor. According to my files, I should have manifested a quirk. At least that's what the doctor said when I was little." DeWolf takes out a picture of the web shooters and taps it. Understanding what she's asking, Peter answers, "Oh, those are my web shooters. They allow me to use this kind of mucus I produce from my body like webs. I have a natural version, but they hurt a lot when I use them, and I seem to overproduce these webs. I even managed to create a chemical formula to recreate more in case of emergencies. Where did you acquire these? Black market or some support company? The detective inquires. Well, I got the parts dumpster diving near a couple of support companies, but I built them myself. My uncle tried to help, but the cartridges blew up in his face. Peter answers with a sad look on his face and letting out a small chuckle. Any family members? The detective questions. I live with my aunt and 2 little brothers, Peter answers. All times have been tough for the last few weeks, ever since that crook killed my uncle. I even got a job at a local newspaper publisher as a photographer to help out. DeWolf inquires, and you've used the job as an opportunity to find information and search for Cardine, didn't you? Yes, Peter responds. As he does, someone knocks at the door. Jean steps out for a moment to have a chat with Officer Davis. Peter hears a couple of whispers, but can't make anything out. A minute after she left, the detective comes back in. What was that about? Peter asks curiously. Don't worry about it, answers the detective. Let's continue. While the questioning continues, Officer Davis walks to the waiting area, approaching a lady in her mid-40s who is next to 2 7-year-olds. I'm sorry, ma'am. It seems as though it's going to take a bit longer than expected, the officer comments. Aunt May looks at her watch and says, Don't worry about it, dear. How long exactly, if I may ask? About 10 minutes, ma'am, answers the officer. Back in the interrogation room, Detective DeWolf asks, Ever thought of becoming a pro hero? What does that have to do with anything? Asks the boy, curious and confused. DeWolf sighs and comments, Just answer the question. Well, I always wanted to be a hero, but was quirkless, so it didn't seem to be in the cards for me. Although I always looked up to Iron Man because he was a quirkless hero, Peter comments, thinking back. I actually wanted to get into the support item business, although lately I've been thinking of going to the hero track, yes. Well, I would actually suggest it, DeWolf comments. You handled yourself well out there. Defeated the thug with no casualties and not much property was destroyed. You're free to go, she says while writing something down. Wait, that's it? Peter asks confused. I'm not in trouble? With your age, worst case, we'd open up a record for you. But we'll make an exception. Just make sure it doesn't happen again, the detective explains. DeWolf then escorts Peter to meet his aunt. Upon arriving, May, overjoyed to see him, immediately hugs him and asks, Are you okay? Peter, struggling to breathe from the hug, answers, I'm fine, Aunt May. Aunt May says, Great, letting go. A moment of silence follows, after which Aunt May snaps at Peter, scolding him for being so irresponsible and putting himself in danger like that. Go easy on the kid. He had a good reason, the detective comments. Aunt May then gives Peter a chance to speak, which he uses to apologize and explain how he felt guilty for Uncle Ben's death. Hearing his words, Aunt May cuts him off by giving him another hug. She then turns to Jean and says, Thank you so much, Jean. Don't worry about it. Consider it compensation for what Richard did, the detective states. Peter looks at May, then at Detective DeWolf, back and forth confused. Well, I actually have a lot of work to do, like actually prosecuting the thug, so I'm going to go then, comments the detective. Good luck with that. We have to get going ourselves, Aunt May says. Officer Davis, how about escorting these lovely bunch outside? The detective orders. Right, answers the officer. Before they can leave, however, the detective says, Oh right, and this is yours, while handing Peter his web shooters and the other confiscating items that the police had. Aunt May signals the 2 kids, Ben and Kind, that they're leaving. The 2 kids put their consoles away and the group heads to the door. When they reach the door, Jefferson says, Have a lovely day, ma'am, while going back inside. Aunt May says, You too, and don't worry about the newborn. I'm sure he'll turn out fine. Just look after him and love him with all you got. The family starts heading home. On the way, Peter asks, So the detective knew my parents? Aunt May answers, Yeah, they work pretty closely together. You've met her before, don't you remember? Peter shakes his head. Aunt May is about to say something, but then she sees the time on a clock and says, Darn, it's so late already? She turns back to Peter and requests, Peter, take your brothers home. Not understanding the situation, Peter asks, What are you going to do? Aunt May answers, I have an interview for a new job. It offers quite a good sum. If I save up for a bit, I might even get you 3 through college, no problem. Peter asks, does it have to do with your work at Feast? Aunt May answers, in a way. I'll let you know when I get back. Just please take them home. As Aunt May hails a cab and the cab approaches, Peter asks, what about dinner? Aunt May gets in the cab and answers, it's inside the fridge, just heat it up. Have your brothers in bed before 9, I'll be home around 10. She then closes the door and the cab drives off. Peter takes his brothers home, plays with them a bit, prepares them dinner, and gets them ready for bed. After they go to sleep, Peter grabs a box of parts and goes to the living room. He turns on the TV and starts working on fixing his web shooters that got clogged. He sees that his story is on the news and gets a bit excited, but after a while, he keeps on working and stops paying attention to the news. Time quickly passes and his aunt arrives home. Peter looks at the clock to see that it's past 11. You're home late, he comments. Did you get the job? Sorry about that. Mr. Fisk was a lot nicer than expected and took me to dinner, Aunt May says as she takes off her shoes and coat. Don't leave me hanging. What's this job about? Peter asks, anxious to know. Aunt May answers, as you know, I've been running the Feast Foundation for a year or two now. They haven't paid much, but it has been a very nice experience. Although lately, because of what happened with your uncle, I've been looking for jobs with better pay. What will you be doing? Peter asks. Aunt May answers, mostly the same duties, except I'll be starting the Feast Foundation. The only catch is, well, it's over in Japan. We'd have to move. Would you be okay with that? Well, it's not the end of the world. It's not like I have that many friends, Peter answers after thinking for a moment. Aunt May says, nonsense! What about Eugene? Peter retorts, Flash? He's more of a bully than a friend, ever since the first grade when I didn't manifest a quirk. Peter yawns. Aunt May looks at the time and says, time for bed, mister. Peter gets ready to go to bed. When laying on his bed, he sees a poster of Iron Man and starts thinking of what Detective DeWolf said. He starts thinking about switching to the hero track. The next few days, Aunt May spends thinking about what she should do, eventually taking the job in Japan. A couple of months pass by. During this time, Peter has made his mind to at least try and join a hero course. He trains a bit and spends some time perfecting his web shooters and a couple of other small gadgets, mostly using some junk he found while dumpster diving. Aside from training, he spends a lot of time studying Japanese, even teaching it to his little brothers. Because of his heightened intelligence, he learns it pretty quickly. He also spends a lot of time looking at schools and sending applications to schools in and around Musutafu, Japan. He sends a couple to UA High, applying to different courses and a couple other hero courses and a bunch of support courses. 1 month left until the UA entrance exam. The family moves to Japan, with Peter provisionally going to a school there in order to finish the school year. After arriving in Japan, he goes to a bunch of interviews and entrance exams in order to get into different schools. February 24th arrives, the day of the UA entrance exam. Early in the morning, Kind screams, "Hey, give that back!" Ben responds, "You have to catch me!" Ben then starts running, jumping onto the wall and swinging around, with his brother trying to catch him, but not being able to. This is because although Kind is stronger, Ben is faster. "What's going on?" Peter asks, coming out of his room in his PJs, having just been woken up by the commotion. Aunt May tries to get both of them to calm down, but they're too busy fighting over a toy. Peter sighs and jumps onto the roof, grabbing both of them and separating them. He asks them what's going on, and they explain like children who are 7 usually do, by shouting and cutting each other off. "You know, you shouldn't fight over things like that. Both of you will get a chance to play with the toy over the years. Sharing is caring," Peter says, calming them down. They then walk to the kitchen to eat some breakfast. As they enter, Aunt May says, "Surprise!" She prepared Peter's favorite, wheat cakes. Peter kisses her on the forehead and says, "Thank you so much, Aunt May." No problem, Peter. Just trying to make sure you're at your best for the UA entrance exam. She says, it is one of the best schools in Japan. Peter slaps his head and says, crap, that's today. I'm going to be late. He then runs into his room to get ready. While he does, Aunt May sets some of the food aside in Tupperware for him to eat later. After putting on his school uniform and grabbing a bag with his suit and devices for the exam, Aunt May hands in the Tupperware and says, break a leg, Peter. Oh, and be back as soon as you can to take care of your brothers. Peter says, will do. He rushes out of the door as Aunt May sits down to have breakfast with the kids. A while later, he arrives at the UA grounds. He breathes a sigh of relief and says, made it with some time to spare. He has a look around and says, huh? So this is UA High. I heard this is one of the best hero schools in Japan, even the world. If I'm not mistaken, that hero, All Might, went here too? As he looks around, he sees a boy with green hair trip and fall. Instinctively, Peter runs to help but stops in his tracks when he sees that a girl stopped the fall using her quirk. After the girl leaves, Peter walks to the boy who just standing there at that point and asks, you alright, man? While pointing at the girl who just helped him, the green-haired boy responds, yeah, I'm fine. Thanks to her. Peter responds, glad to hear it. Oh, I'm Peter, by the way. Peter Parker. The boy nervously says, I'm Izuku Midoriya. Peter smiles at Midoriya and says, good luck in the exams then, Midoriya. They then part ways with both of them going to the main hall to take the entrance exam. President Mike's speech goes exactly the same. After that, Peter goes to take the written part of the exam, where he gets a perfect score. You know, because he's a genius. After that, it's time for the practical exam. Peter puts on his spider onesie and his support items, mostly just the web shooters, some knee and elbow pads, and some specialized goggles. He's assigned to Battle Center D. After a bit of stretching, the exam starts with President Mike shouting, go, go, go! There are no countdowns in real battle. Hearing that the exam started, Peter starts running as fast as he can to take down a 2-point robot, kind of stealing it from a Muslim girl who's wearing a Miss Marvel sweatshirt. He destroys it by jumping on top of it, webbing the head of the robot, ripping it out with his momentum. Without stopping, Peter shoots a web and starts swinging around, looking for more robots. Once he spots some, he drops down, smashing a 3-point robot with the momentum of the fall. He then shoots a web line at a nearby 1-pointer and smashes him into another, earning himself a couple more points. Peter then hears a scream from someone who is running away from a robot. He swings at it, kicking it, but since he doesn't have enough momentum, he only pushes it away. The 3-pointer retaliates, shooting some projectiles. Peter evades them all, even webbing one and sending it back, destroying the robot. He then sees someone fighting, someone with a tail, fighting a group of them. He looks overwhelmed, so Peter jumps in for the assist, breaking the 1-pointer and a 2-pointer. One by using its own speed against itself, by clogging the wheel, and the other by ripping some cables. He then tries to shoot another web line, but nothing happens. He says, shoot, out of webs. He starts replacing the web cartridge, but as he does, he feels a strange tingling. The hairs on his neck stand on end. He reflexively jumps out of the way as a 2-pointer smashes at Peter. The boy with the tail then jumps in to destroy the robot. Peter says, thanks. The boy answers, don't mention it, leaving to find more robots to destroy. The exam continues with Peter destroying a couple more robots and helping out 2 more people, who he gets out of the path of the 0-point robot in the nick of time. The time ends and Peter thinks, damn, that's only about 29 points. Not sure if that's enough. He then goes to the support course exam. After finishing all the exams, Peter heads home to relieve Aunt May of babysitting duty. During the next week, Peter takes a couple more exams and even starts getting some results back. He got into all the courses he applied to at every single school, mostly thanks to his intellectual and natural talent. After going back from a scavenger run one day, Peter checks out the mail and sees that he got a letter from UA. He goes back up to the apartment, hands Aunt May her letters, and goes to his room to check the results. He opens the letter and finds a small disc. He sets it on the table and All Might pops up on a hologram screen congratulating Peter. All Might says, "Congratulations! You have passed the Hero Course entrance exam. You see, there's another element to the exam that we did not tell you about. There exist the rescue points aside from the regular villain points, which are awarded when you help other students and basically act heroically. You have passed the exam with 29 villain points and 27 rescue points, getting the 10th spot overall. However, you have also passed the support course exam with one of the best scores we have seen in a while. This presents a small issue, as you have to choose. The information of the school staff will be on the message for you to contact us. For now, enjoy yourself." Excited, he steps out into the living room to deliver the good news to his family, screaming, "I got into UA!" And that is where I'm ending today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this reboot of What If Spider-Man Was in My Hero Academia. I honestly wish to make it better than last time, because if you look at the old script, it's less than 1 page, and it seems kind of trash when you compare with the things I write now, because what I wrote now was like 7 pages, color-coded. It was very nicely made. There are some grammatical mistakes, but still, it's a lot better than the original. And I hope that the video is as well, because I'm editing it and drawing stuff for all of this. So yeah, I honestly want to remake it with better quality and stuff. Also, there's another reason why this is all being made, but that will be shown later. Hope you all enjoyed. Do the thing that YouTubers and YouTube want you to make. You know, the whole hitting like, subscribe, and all that. It shows me that you want more of my stuff and that you're okay with me doing this in a more comfortable way. Until next time, everyone, have an absolutely fantastic day. Bye!